Ladies and gentlemen, it's me, PD, back with another Carlisle Cult Cinema Club Presents. And in this episode, I've got Graham Cole in conversation, or Graham Coleman Smith, or as most people know him, PC Tony Stamp. He's an absolute legend, 48-year career.
50.
He's been on Wikipedia.
Yeah,
Wikipedia, don't trust that. It's 50. We celebrated it a couple of months ago.
We did, royally.
Sorry, I apologise. Starting in the theatre because you were a plaster tech and you were doing panto.
Well, I was an orthopaedic technician, but I wanted to be an actor. That's absolutely true, and that put me in good stead, believe it or not, to be an actor. Because you saw all human life laid before you in hospitals. But yeah, that's very true. And then in 1974, I joined the profession, and very fortunately, I've been chasing that magic dream ever since.
Oh, I think you're definitely in the heart of the British public. And I think always will be, because the bill was so iconic. But you were also, I mean, obviously you started in the theatre and you were sold out performances all around the country, in the West End and everywhere. I mean, you were playing with the likes of Little and Large.
In the early days, yeah, for sure, yeah.
Bernie Clifton.
You name them, I was there.
And you've got great... Because you were in the Kenny Everett video show and stuff.
Bless him. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's when we moved into TV. But I just saw that Stanley Baxter has brought his memoirs out. I wonder if I'm in that, because I work with him as well.
Oh, absolutely brilliant. And I mean, you were in so many, when you started in TV, you were in so many iconic shows, Secret Army, Citizen Smith, Blake Seven, Smiley's People, Only Fools, Rumpole of the Bailey,
Casualty.
Yeah, and Holby.
And Holby, yeah, true, very true. Casualty at the start and Holby at the end, that's very true.
Tucker's Luck, Minder, 20 episodes of Doctor Who.
Really? Well, I'll take your word on that. I didn't know how many. But...
what I found out when I looked at what you've done on
Yes, probably add them together, yeah.
Including that famous lost episode, Sharda.
Yeah, indeed, yeah.
I mean, you were in the Young Ones, which that was my generation. We loved that.
Absolutely, yeah.
Had to watch it. Go to school, I was 10, and going to school and telling your mates at 10-year-old you'd watch the Young Ones was a big thing. I mean, you played so many police and kind of figures of authority, or security guards, or doormen. So before you got the role of Tony Stamp, so I think it was.
I've never played. I'd only ever played a policeman in a government-sponsored road safety film. Other than that, I've never actually played a cop. All the stage stuff I did, all the Agatha Christie's and the Durbridges and all, I was always the baddie.
Right.
And of course you haven't mentioned what we're up to, Stuart. £44, I think, Stuart, isn't it now?
It's about that.
Stuart is my chronicle.
Yeah.
So
it's 44.
And 30 of those is probably playing the baddie. So I'm probably more experienced being a baddie than I am being a goodie. But
I was going to say, you mentioned Minder. What episode of Minder were you in, and what were you in it?
Stuart, I think it was a drinks thing. I think.
Right. Okay.
But I was again one of the undercover guys. I mean, it's for some unknown reason I've never really played a villain on television. I don't know why. I think it was their saying. It's always sort of some kind of authoritarian. But I think it was a drinks thing. And the only reason I say that is because some dear lovely soul, as they always do, shoved something on Facebook many months ago. With that clip, yeah. But I mean, because the thing is nowadays that it's so difficult, is that they can stop the tape, can't they? Show the picture.
Yeah.
But I might have like every actor that will ever tell you, you do these scenes like Indiana Jones. Did this not long scene, never saw the light of day. It landed up on the cutting room floor. So I mean, there's lots and lots of that around as well. But in those my early career, that's for sure. You're just a jobbing actor, so you just go, "Do you want to? Yeah, okay, bring it on. I want to feed the family."
I mean, I think when I started watching the Bill, I spotted you straight away in the background.
Yeah.
Like, but then it took it, and then I seen your first line, and I was like, "It's taking ages to get him through." You were always just in the back. You were just always there.
Well, believe it or not, when the Bill first started, we only made like 10 episodes a year. So most of us, Trudy, Eric, Mark, and us, were all in theatre. So if we weren't, excuse me, if we weren't actually recording the Bill, we'd be working in theatre. So it depended on your structure of whether you could get out or not. I mean, when I actually got the Bill part, when I actually was given Tony Stamp, Julian Oldfield, who was casting director at the time, I was about to go and play the lieutenant in Guys and Dolls. As you know, I sing as well. So I was about to go and play the lieutenant in Guys and Dolls. And they said, "Oh, no, you've got to be part of it," because I'd only done really one full episode for them. They wanted an actor that could handle himself. I loved stage fighting and that sort of thing. And that was my in. And then they just decided to keep me, but they didn't bother to inform me that was the case. So I got this long British tour. And dear Julian got me out of it somehow or other. So, and then, as I say, but Jen, you're right. But Stuart said at one of the reunions quite a while ago that most of us, you see, some played villains beforehand, but most would come in, wander around for a while, and people go, "Oh, you didn't say very much." And that's when the writers were being commissioned to write for our characters.
Yeah.
So that was all the introduction sort of side of it. So you would wander around doing very. I was very lucky because of all the work that you'd said that I'd done on stage with comics and musicals and the like. That they just called me in and said, "I'll do something for Eric." So I'd always tried to make sure that as the camera passed me, I was doing something wrong. And so Eric forgive me. I mean, either chewing gum, or feet up on the desk or something like that. So always as the camera panned past me, I was doing something. And I think the writers sort of picked up on that quite quickly. But honestly, my job there was just to support Eric or whoever I was in the scenes with. So you just give them something, to play with, And he wasn't stamped then. I don't even think he was 595. I think it was some other number.
Right.
But you really must come to a Bill reunion. If you're a Bill fan, come to a Bill reunion at the Cinema Museum. You will love it. As Stuart said, we sit there, we do an introduction, and Stuart is brilliant at bringing in guest artists, not only main cast, but those that played villains, directors, camera. We've had just about everyone, haven't we, Stuart, at the reunions?
We've got Tony McHale this time, one of the script writers. He's coming in November.
Yeah. And it's always, what he had, the boss man, didn't you? Had Peter Regime, which was unheard of. Peter just doesn't do interviews, and you're amazing how you got hold of him. And it was him and Pete Ellis, I think, wasn't it? Did you put those two
it was
together? I think, which was amazing. So
a couple of years ago now. It was a couple of years ago.
But it's fantastic but the scary thing is, and Stuart loves my face, because a hand will go up and it'll go, "When you're in episode," it's where you can record. But strangely enough, I mean, bless them, their detail is immense. So you do start to then, "Oh yeah, okay, yeah." But you've got to remember, 90% of my time I was on the streets of London. I wasn't in the studio very much at all. So and you meet guest artists who shoot their scenes, and then they've gone by 11 o'clock because I'm off to another unit. It's a fast moving beast.
It sounds it. You know what I mean? But obviously, you made a lot of friends as well.
Mm.
Probably still be with now, especially
totally. The
old school cast.
Well, because remember that the format of the show had never ever been done anywhere in the world before, which was they were going to shoot a series on the streets of a major city. Never had it been done before. Yeah, they've sort of shot odd films and or sequences of films and stuff like that, but never a whole series, and certainly not with, as we were at the time, two units working back to back with each other. And there's legendary stories, which again you love, come to reunions, where they said if we were both in the unit, one was upstairs in CID and the other were downstairs, sort of in the front office, and it happened once. I think it was Ashley, wasn't it? Ashley Gunstock, I think, told the story where the first shouted action upstairs and they started downstairs.
Yes.
But yeah, it was just so much fun, and I think Stuart knows what it is. The love from the cast and the crew for actually being on it, but then for those who come to support us again, I'll probably have the same 50 odd faces, and then new faces don't be coming in, Stuart. I mean,
each time we have
amazing.
Each time we probably get the regulars, which I would say, as you said, there's a core about 40 to 50, and then you get another 60 each time that are new that come along to it. People
and
from
young,
America
and, really
and Australia. Yeah,
yeah.
so it's the one thing, you know, when we do our Sweeney, our Minder, and we've done the professionals and the Asquith stuff, they're always people of a certain age, 40s and above. If you do the Sweeney and Minder, it's 90% men who drag their wives along. But when you do the bill, it's all ages and all sexes and all genders and that. And I think that's because it's always being screened now. So for someone like me that watched it in 1984 and become a copper because years, and watching the repeats just brings it back. But for a lot of people, because it's on every day, watching it for the start. And it's not dated. The only thing that I think that is really good that dates it is seeing London's skyline, how it's changed so much.
And number plates.
But also saying that, Jen and I were watching McCallum. I don't know if you remember that. That's like John Hannah, 90s, late 90s series about pathologists, really creepy stuff, really great stuff. And even that, though, the skyline has changed dramatically in the last 30 years, 25 years.
It actually happened once. I think we were filming in Croydon before the base moved there. And we'd done this long drive because we were based then at Artichoke Hill, which was sort of the back by Tower Bridge. And we'd done this long drive to get to the location. And when we got there, the location manager met us and said, "I'm very, very sorry. It was a 12-foot wall, but they've knocked it down over the weekend." So you do get that kind of side of things. So he was out scouring for another very tall wall to shoot in front of. But that was the lovely thing about the bill. You just arrived, worked on the London streets, iconic buildings. It was just beautiful to work on. And of course, most of us out of repertory theatre, you know your lines because you just want to do them and go home in the shortest space of time possible.
Yeah.
In the 90s, I used to mid-90s, I used to work for British Gas in Catherine Street in Croydon, and I always used to see you guys whizzing up down the street because you used to use the town hall opposite as the court.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I always used to see all of you there.
And little did you know, only a few years later on, you'd be my producer director. How about that?
That's it. I know. Unbelievable. Weirder things happen at sea. So I've been told.
Horrible things happen at sea, yeah.
Well, they do. Nothing horrible happens with Misty Moon, though.
No,
it's
never.
Good stuff.
Yeah. Well, Stuart and I now, did we ever work that out? Was it 30 years ago or something we first met? I mean...
your first gig you came to, well, it wasn't. It's when we were running the craft fairs.
It was, with Tim, wasn't it? Tim Felton, the artist.
And you came to do your autobiography.
Oh, yes.
And signed
2009 then, or somewhere around there.
Yeah. That's before we got our... That's before we got our gallery, and then got where we are now.
In Beckenham?
Honor Oak Park. Tim lived in Beckenham. And I think you were just round the corner to him there.
Yeah. Cool.
Because you met Tim through when you went to the Bromley.
The
church.
We used to work crew at Bromley Theatre.
Yeah,
absolutely. Got to keep your hand in, man.
Well, that's it. Yeah. I mean, you've done 1,210 episodes of the bill, over half of the 2,404 episodes, which is amazing.
Yeah, he is the Ken Barlow of the bill.
No, I mean,
except I'm not still in it. He's still in it, isn't he?
Well, he is. He is.
It's gutting because there was only like 50 episodes left. You know what I mean? You left. There was like 50.
Well, yeah, I think we the show actually only recorded for another 4 months.
Yeah, I think so.
Like that after I'd gone. So, but of course, remember, if it was CID stores and stuff like that, I might nick someone in the area car and then hand the story over.
And it was more like that, and it was more. I think I started to quite like it, the new format when it was on at 9 o'clock. It changed everything. The titles had gone. Everything. The only thing that was the same was the bill.
Didn't they?
They did. And I think it's more meant to be like CSI and all that stuff. And I quite liked it once I got into it, and then they just ended it. But it didn't make any sense that you were gone. But I think really the only regulars in it was John Bowler, still Chris Simmons, Simon Roos, and then they brought in a load of other people.
Yeah.
Andrew Lancel. So it was very CID orientated.
Yeah. It's easy to write, or easier to write, isn't it? Because basically it's all either set in offices or conference rooms, isn't it? So it's a lot simpler than stuff which has to be on the streets. Yeah. So it's very, very different. Yeah. Yeah, but I adored it. I absolutely adored it.
I mean, it was in the 90s was my party era, so I did miss quite a few episodes then when it was on TV. But
if your mum and dad let you stay up late?
No, I was out. Oh God, the less we say about that, the better sometimes. When I was young, slim, and handsome, what can I say? But no, I mean, rewatching the bill again. I mean, it started off really. It was Jim Carver's story.
Sure.
When you
think about the first pilot, for sure, yeah.
Yeah, and
Woodentop.
Yeah, with Woodentop, and I think the only person you did fall out with was Jim Carver.
Yeah,
and that was the way Trent Trudy.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. And it's beautifully produced, beautifully written, and may I say, beautifully played. His alcoholic storyline, which was stunningly done, and all power to our writers and producers for taking it down that route. Yeah, and I think, well, I know the sort of execs would come to me and say, every other script we get is featuring Stamp. But I think it's because I was always looking for the fun in it, always looking for, where can Tony Stamp throw his weight around because he doesn't want to do the paperwork, that kind of angle. But the writers were just beautiful, and would write on, and I think the crew quite liked it because my ethos, as I said a little bit earlier, was know what you're doing, come in, do it, and go. And now, because we're making shorts with Stuart, I think you're learning that ability now, Stuart.
This one was very long. This biggest shoot, really, 4 days with. So the first couple of days was fine because it was just with the 4 main cast. But then for the other 2 days, we had to bring in all the extras. And then on the Friday, which was the main death scene and stuff, we at the Phoenix. First of all, I've never ever heard it. We've been at the Phoenix for 10 years. The bloody Northern Line runs underneath it. So every so often, everything's shaking, so we're having to stop. But then on the Friday, we're in the stage area of where we're doing our stuff. They got a matinee on in the Phoenix, and just as everyone's going in, you hear the bloody water flushing from the toilets coming down. So it's
welcome to my world.
So Carolyn, bless her, and Mark, we were rolling. We didn't cut. We just kept it rolling. Right. And they were stopping their dialogue and then having to restart it. So it was a long shoot, a really long shoot.
Yeah.
But a great shoot. And next year, we're doing the feature with you in Elvis's versus Zombies.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
to ask you about later on. But yeah, since it's been mentioned, let's have a chat about Elvis versus Zombies. What can you? Are you playing an Elvis?
I'm sworn to secrecy as a member of the cast. I have to sign the Secrets Act, so the only person who can answer those questions is our producer / director. Otherwise, we get into terrible trouble.
And I can say no, he doesn't. But he is married to the beautiful Nicola Bryant.
The only reason I said yes
was Perry Brown in Doctor Who, of course, and who plays. The couple, the Bankses, run the village hall that our Elvises go to, and the Elvises go in to take shelter, and it all kicks off there. And Nicola, who plays Mary Banks, is very prim and proper, but with a very flirtatious side. And she does have a lot of flirting with one of the Elvises. So the tagline to it is, because I've had so many people say, "Oh, I hope you're not taking the piss out of Elvis. He's the king." I said, "Well, no, it's 6 Elvises in a van. That's the tagline. It's not set in. It's set in England. It's meant to be 6 guys going to an Elvis convention, as they always do in Folkestone, and something happens on their way there, a crash or a plane comes down, and they have to go cross country, and that's when all the mayhem happens."
As I said to Stuart, I've attended on behalf of charities some of these Elvis in Essex and Elvis in various places conventions, and it is utterly amazing because it is 200 people all dressed as Elvis.
Yeah,
and it is quite disturbing in a way. It is pretty amazing, and I loved the script when I read it. And
have I sent you the updated one?
No, I'm saving that one because it's changed a bit, hasn't it? So
it has. So yeah, we've got so instead of the woke people we were going to have in it, and it was going to be the born again Christians, we're doing it with 70s tribute acts, which is great. And it's going to be very, very funny. So I will get that off to you because it's very good.
There's no, we're not doing it until next year, mate. There's no worries. I mean, and to be honest, quite a lot of people used to say that about the bill, getting the script. Well, we might get them a couple of weeks beforehand, but as Stuart has just cited, we'll get changes the night before.
Yeah.
Because, the cast has changed or the location has changed or and sometimes as the bill sort of progressed into those, and I thought it was done beautifully, long stories for you guys and girls to really get involved in. But to actually logistically pull those together is a nightmare because we're all wazzing about on different units. People obviously having holidays and all that sort of stuff locked in between. And then if you throw into the mix, which Stuart and I often talk about, was illness. If someone went sick, the Tipex bottle came out, went on the line, and your name got whopped on the top. So you might be picking up somebody else's lines, but of course you make them your own. But you've then got to get inside the writer's head because he was writing, or she was writing them for that character, and so it's not quite as easy as some people might think it is. And certainly with Mark and with lovely Carolyn, it would have been wanting to get that character right and not having an awful lot of time to be able to experiment with each other or indeed the location or anything else to make it work. But when it comes together, it is the only way to shoot, is fast, furious, and maybe with your actors all a little bit scared.
Did you have 5 units at one time?
At one time, yeah.
Wasn't it blue, yellow, red, gold, indigo?
We had red, green, and blue units normally. We had beige units which came in to do any pickups that we hadn't finished on the episodes, and then they brought in what was the last? I can't remember what the last colour was. Beige was a green. Then they brought in a green unit, and in actual fact, I did work 5 units on a Friday. It was absolutely mind-blowingly yuck, because obviously, as actors, we use the costumes we're in or whatever we do. But of course, if you're playing Tony Stamp, you're looking down, and the old bros are just looking back at you. So,
yeah,
any assistance there at all? But it's always, and it has to be, and it was, if we're going to talk about Paredolia as well, about the words. And I'm sure Mark, and I'm sure certainly Karen, a beautiful lady and lovely, lovely actress. That's what will entice you. And I'm sure they said the same thing to you, Stuart. It'd be the word. If the words don't work,
well,
we just go no.
And the words didn't work on the very first script. So this guy called Carl Staple. I don't know if you know him, Paul. No, well, he Mark. I'll give you a bit of background. I went to lunch with Mark Benton back in February, and he worked with Carolyn on the Land Girls, and he liked. And he knew I'd done Paredolia, he'd seen it. He said, if you can get a 2-hander and convinced Lady P to do it, as he calls her. I'll do it. So I contacted one person who I knew. She didn't have a script to hand like that. Contacted Carl, who I knew would, because he has so many, and he sent it to me, and I sent it to Caroline, and she said no straight away. And so 9 drafts later, complete re-changes.
Wow.
The only thing, and I'm sure Carl won't mind me mentioning this if he listens to it, is that the only thing of Carl's thing is the script is the name. So it's the concept. It's completely changed of what we've done. And even the end bit, Jen and I wrote most of it now. Well, we rewrote it. And then our director came on board, Tony Marden, fantastic director, and his first assistant director, Lauren Barnett, and she put in all the directional changes. And so now it's very David Lynch. It's so like, wow.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah.
So where it started off as a thriller, it's now a full-blown Lynchian horror.
Whoa.
It's really good, and I'm so proud of it. I don't know if any of you have seen the poster today.
Yeah,
I mean, I got so that is Lucy Pickles. That's Carolyn's daughter.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah.
And I've got her to do the trailer. Trailer's so simple.
Did Peter do the poster again?
No, we got a completely different team on that. So
that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's
very
just
Silence of the Lambs, I thought, when I saw that poster.
So Children of the Corn as well. I think she's got this look of Malachi from Children of the Corn, and that is taken really that I directed the trailer, because all the trailer has to be, everything about it is about 13, the number 13, and that's partly to do with our connection with Adrian King and Friday the 13th, who co-founded Mr. Uni, but also because I'm not going to give too much away, but the way the story unfolds, it's all about treachery. And 13, of course, is the Last Supper, the disciples and stuff like that. So I've got my diabolical 13, which were the extras. Even my mother, my Auntie Esther, are in it, and we've called them Diana Judas and Esther Judas. That in itself is a film. Just to have my mother on there, she was like, "Oh, crikey!" I needed a bottle of gin after that. I tell you, it was like Christ. But anyway, it's all done. It was great, and it's going to be brilliant. It's brilliant. It's really, really cool.
Well, you mentioned and Graham knows I watched that. Stuart knows I watched that and reviewed it and thought it was absolutely fantastic and thoroughly enjoyed it.
Was this Paredolia? Paredolia.
Yeah. I sent me that last year, and I watched it and just
Well, he didn't have the Christmas lights up behind him, but we shot all of that in the cottage, in Stuart's cottage, Stuart and Jen's cottage,
and this was the bedroom. In fact, there, Graham, it's all changed a bit now, but there is where you were staring at, and we were both staring at the back, and that's where the entity was meant to come out. And stuff like that.
Staring at nothing, as always. An actor's life is not a merry one.
No.
Yeah. Bless you. Oh, it's great. And it was so creepy because no one could get up. It was one person could get upstairs at a time, couldn't they? You know, and all the creaks and cracks, and it was just fantastic film in there. So good. Really good.
I've got some ideas of what we might do. Not as it's not going to go into a feature, but we are thinking of, because we've got quite a few shorts, and Tony and Lauren have, and they are thinking about doing an anthology and putting some of the shorts together and having them, which will make the feature, because basically you've got your feature made apart from the interspersing story to go with it. And to have that would work. And I think Paredolia might fit well into it, and Serve definitely will. All the films we seem to be doing at the moment are very women orientated but strong. They are the strong characters in it. So we're doing another one with Adrienne from Friday the 13th. It's going to be a two-hander called Dana, and we're doing that in November in the cottage again. And and that's a great story. Very art house, very dark and art house. I think, Paul, you've had Tony on before, haven't you, about the Witches of the Sands, Tony Marden?
Video Shop Tales of Terror.
That's it. Yeah, he does that as well. Yeah, he's directed that. Yeah.
No, I had the full all the directors on and some of the actors on, and that was a great episode as well. But no, I love all the stuff you're doing at the moment. There's a right little kind of buzz about these underground films. The likes of Tony's doing with Witches of the Sands, what you are doing, and I can't wait to see, obviously, Elvis versus Zombies.
We'll have a wait. We've got to get the finance for that, but I think we will. We're looking at about. Well, we will definitely need between 100 and 120,000. It's a big old shoot. I mean, Paul Kavanagh, who's written it, he keeps saying we need to do a trailer. But yeah, when we've done trailers before, it's out of stuff that we've shot and you edit it together. But he's written a page and a half for a teaser, which will work, and I think we can do it. So with Mark Benton and Bill Fellows and another actor called Ben Shockley. So we're looking at doing that in November. But this, he keeps adding bits to it, and the cast. I've got a cast of like Ben-Hur. I mean, it's huge. I mean, we've got 10 main cast, which Graham is one of them, and then after that, you've got the supporting cast, which is like the wives and the girlfriends of the Elvises, and then we've got a load of ramblers and everything, and then you've got all the extras on top, and it's going to be it's a big thing to cast. And then making sure everyone can be there on these dates and stuff. It's a big undertaking.
Stuart coerced the village. We got your whole village in it at one point, didn't we? Or just about.
Oh, in Paredolia, we did. Yeah, we did,
which was fantastic. And I've still not seen the outtakes of that. You know, you keep promising me this CD. This is the trouble, Paul. Your producers promise you the earth until you've done the job, and when you've done the job, you get nothing like they told you were going to get. So
I thought I gave you the Blu-ray at the Great Yarmouth.
No, I don't think
it's probably still sitting in your boot because I had a load of them up there, and we were flogging them.
Did you just put one? No, perhaps you did. All right, I'll have to hoover the car more often.
If not, I'll get it to you. No, I must have, because I gave Charlotte Grice. You signed Charlotte Grice, we sent that off.
Yeah, did that?
Yeah, we had a pile of them.
I'm gonna have to have a look. It might still be. It's probably because I haven't signed any photos since. It's probably in the photo bag.
More than that.
I bet
it's propping up a door somewhere.
Well, I hope it's not in the car because I've sold that one. I've got another one now.
Yeah. They're being for a shock.
Yeah, God bless.
But there's loads of outtakes on that, and there's you singing to the people outside, the good people of Robertsbridge.
Yeah. Oh, bless. I got very, very jealous, Paul, when I heard about this project they've just finished. Because if you're just doing the guys, you just want to be in everything.
Yeah,
you know, it's so special, so special.
That many talented people involved, and I've enjoyed over the last few years watching the whole Misty Moon posts from afar.
Yeah,
thank you.
And obviously, I got to talk to Stuart, which was we had a cracking conversation.
3 hours, I think that lasted.
Yeah.
There was, I think there was a little. We had to do a little cut on that for some reason. I can't remember what it was.
I think we're going to the toilet.
Probably maligning one of his lead actors, was he really?
Yeah.
It's nothing but sweet and nice things about you all. You even got an award from the Police Federation.
Who, me or him?
Graham, sorry.
Oh.
In actual fact, I'm in the office now. I have, believe it or not, a long service medal as well, just to my right, which is fair. I mean, for someone that wasn't in the police service store. NARPO, the National Association of Retired Police Officers, made me an honorary member. That's probably 10 years now or so, and I've been to their conventions a couple of times, and very, very special. It's a lovely, lovely thing. But I mean, Stuart's around with me quite a lot, and young coppers are always coming out saying we watched the bill, and that's why in fact, you said so yourself, didn't you? That's why we joined the show. You know, it's really humbling when the guys and the girls do that, and they're in a tough place at the moment, and they do need our support out there. I mean, these, you know, everything they do, there's all these phones are out, you know, and all that stuff, and I don't blame them. They're actually going, well, there's certain situations now where we just won't do it because it's not worth the grief.
No.
You know, and well, Stuart's saying, you know, in your basic training, and also on the bill, of course, you know, we're cuffing somebody. It honestly takes 4 of you. It needs you, one on each arm, one on each leg. You just can't. If they don't want to be handcuffed, it is the hardest thing to do. The quick cuffs, you can do it if you're fast enough, but you've got to be fast to do it. And it is horrible out there at the moment. I really don't know. People are going, bring back the bill, and I don't.
Wouldn't be the same. You can't.
No, not with it. And they're trying to cut it because everyone has these body cams, so you'd have to use the body cams. Trying to cut that into film and that sort of it just be almost impossible. Plus, I do think now with Interceptors, with all those kind of shows, the fly on the wall stuff, is there a place for it? I mean, the sad thing is, as soon as they're doing a police series now, it's going to just be murder and mayhem, and probably it's the copper that's killing everybody or raping everybody or whatever it is. It's just boring. It's just so utterly boring.
Talking of handcuffs,
and there's no humour. That's the thing, isn't it, Stuart? Every evening in Paredolia, although our scene was cut drastically, and I think to the detriment of the piece, it's got to be some funny bits. There was a lovely bit where I pushed by as the priest. I pushed past him. It's his crime scene, and I pushed past him to go into the building. So he can't do that. It's my crime scene, and it's just and it's that stuff that the audiences love. It's just but so very often with the editors, that's what lands up on the cutting room floor. They think it's a waste of time, but actually that's the atmosphere of the piece.
And that's what people would have wanted to see. And also, as the producer, I should have said, no, you bloody keep that in.
Well, you never know. There's space there, and we've been talking about it. You never know. The two of them might.
Well, we've had a script already. Yeah, we've had a script already written by a fan. Right. And you've read it, and I've read the opening pilot. We thought we could do it as like maybe a web series or something, but we'd have to go to the original writer unless we just change the names and stuff, which could be done.
Yeah,
so that's something to be thinking of for the future.
I think one of the things that people don't know very much about, Paul, and I'm sure you do on your podcast, is that I'm president of Post Traumatic Stress 999 for the Blue Lighters, which is a charity.
I've got that too. I was going to mention all that.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, they asked me, would I do a short film for them with an ex-copper with post-traumatic stress. I initially, but I did it, and it came together beautifully. I'm very proud to say.
And we showed it at our festival.
Yeah, we do. And interestingly, Fremantle, who owned that, wouldn't allow us to use Tony because because he's not Tony Stamp. But so they wouldn't let us use Tony, so we called him Tom. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah,
because what possible difference it would have made to anybody? But it would have enhanced a charity film that may just have brought in a few more quid. It's execs can be quite difficult and troublesome. But of course, as Stuart comes across all the time, when we're signing pictures, normally we have to pay for the right to sign a picture with our mugshot on it because it's actually owned by the production companies, not by us. So even some of the Doctor Who stuff, you've got to get permission of everybody in it, and to be able to reproduce it, and it costs fortune sometimes.
That's mental. I did not realise all that. That's
Well, as Stuart just intimated there, if we could go further with our two characters, could we call him Father Kavanagh, because he actually was created by the first writer and director of that.
Yeah.
And if they want to be difficult, say no, because we might want to, Trudy, Mark and I were asked to do a series, and it was a beautiful series. It's a little bit like New Tricks, and we'll be back on the streets of Sun Hill looking at some of the crimes that we couldn't work our way through when we were in uniform. And it was a lovely idea, but again, the block was put on. The owned it said, well, you can, but you're not allowed to use Sun Hill. You can't use any of the name references or any of the character references from the show because we might reenact it. You go, well, even if you did, you wouldn't call it June Ackland, you wouldn't call him Tony Stamp. I mean, it was just absolute. But that is very often what you're up against is I don't know what it is, Stuart. I really don't know what you'd call it. In all honesty, pettiness. It's in their favour, isn't it? Anything like that, it's in their favour because it reignites. And all, but well, it baffles me. I don't know.
I would have seen that. That show would have been brilliant. I think that show would have been great.
Well, Mark was up for it. Trudy was up for it. I was up for it. They started to write the scripts, and the producer on it, again, Stuart knows more about that than I do. In the end, had to pay to use our names in it, but he was only granted a license, Stuart, for so long.
And I don't think anything got written or it. I might be wrong on that, but yeah.
But,
and you know, the people that are really were pushing it, and all the Bill fans, even now I see it like 6 years down the line or whatever, it does the route because it's the son that keeps winning out. They did a big thing on our Bill reunion last year, wasn't it? I can't remember which one, but it was the one with Andrea Mason, Eric Richards, yourself, and Carol Royal, and it was in all the papers, and which was great. But then straight after, they then said, "Oh, and Sun Hill, these three are going to do something." Well, it's all rubbish. It's clickbait. They call it.
Yeah,
I found out later it's called clickbait. So,
how is it?
Just to get people to hit onto that button. The website, to look at a story, yeah.
Of course, that is the other thing as well, isn't it? That very often, when you're starting a project, people want you to tell lots and lots and lots about it. But you actually, well, yeah, you want to keep it secret. You know, I have no really why the TV companies now, you know, and the soaps and stuff will show you big chunks of the episode that they want you to watch. And yet, well, what's the point? Because you've now seen that bit. You know, the fun is seeing it, isn't it? I used to sit down and watch the Bill at the same time as the audience did. I could have got tapes out and watched it at base, but I didn't want to do that. I wanted to sit down there with the adverts and getting the feeling that everybody else would have with the show that's on before, the show that follows you, you know, and all that kind of thing.
When I was a kid, we had 4 channels. There was no Sky, nothing like that. And when the Bill was on, we all sat and watched the Bill. As a, you know, on just before I'd be turfed upstairs. Had me on TV upstairs as well.
18 to 20 million every week.
Hang on, you had 4 channels. When I was a kid, I had 3 channels, and one of them wasn't worth watching because it was BBC Two.
Well, we had.
Well, the Channel 4 you're probably talking about, are you, when Channel 4 came in?
Yeah. So you were a lot younger than me then.
Well,
we all asked you. I don't know how to break this news to you.
The same year. After that, I was born. So I'm 50 next month.
Wow. What's that like?
Strange. And I'll be getting my cast off just before my birthday.
Oh, bless your heart. Yeah. I can come and do that for you if you like.
That's
you
not
could.
What is it? Fiberglass, is it?
No, it's old school wrapped plaster.
Oh, is it? Oh, real plaster of Paris. Oh, wow. You went to a cheap hospital.
Well, it's Carlisle, you know what I mean?
I probably dug it up around the corner.
Yeah, but they're absolutely fantastic. The nurses, the doctors were all great.
Have you had a plaster off before?
Yes.
Oh, you have. So you know all about the oscillators. They're nice.
Yes.
Yeah, they're good. We'll just leave that as a teaser to those that are watching your podcast. If you haven't had a cast off, you'll go, Graham mentioned about that oscillator. Yeah.
On my wrist. This is my second cast on this leg.
Oh, bless your heart.
Because they had to put one on.
Yeah.
Oh no, third one actually. They put one on.
Did you just move too quickly? Did you? And instead of turning in little steps, did you just sort of turn, and so that's what twisted the knee?
No, it was because of the transverse myelitis. I've got hypermobility in my knees, so the snap right back sometimes.
Well, we're not doing anything particular. I mean, you weren't.
No, I was just walking through my bedroom door, but because
you weren't chasing the wife up the stairs or anything like that.
I couldn't do that if I wanted to now. Both my knees snapped back, and I had nothing on to, and I just went down.
Wow!
I heard it snap.
Oh, wow! God bless.
And then my wife came upstairs because I was screaming, and bless her, she took my foot out, and my foot's lying there. And I said, "You're gonna have to take the trainer off," because I said, "If my foot swells, I'm not having them cut this trainer off because it's brand new." So she took it off, and she said, "I could hear it."
Oh man!
So it's all been pinned and screwed and plated, and it's went really well. And it's the stitches.
Bless your heart. Good for you. Yeah.
So the stitches came out on Friday.
It's a shame. Have you recorded the screams? Because I'm sure Stuart could put that into one of his films.
Yeah, could have been better. Would have been better than a Wilhelm scream. That one. Kelly says she's heard nothing like it.
It is one of the hardest things to do when they ask you to do like a frightened scream or an absolute agony scream. And there's a few actresses, that get work just because they are so good.
Yeah,
good at that.
But yeah, it's on the mend.
Oh, bless your heart.
Lots of painkillers.
Yeah.
Constantly, which is great.
That old Glenfiddich, eh? Yeah, it's good stuff.
I don't drink. Haven't drank for 10 years this year.
Bless your heart.
Problem. It wasn't for me.
I don't drink either, do I, Stuart?
If you say so.
You started that.
Not often.
Usually, but on my 50th.
Oh, yeah.
My 50th year in the career.
You did then.
That was the long one. Mind you, that
you deserved it.
6 hours or something, didn't it?
You did.
For the love
in fact, I think Jen and I left you there.
Yes,
we did.
Probably did.
We went to our hotel. Yeah.
See, again, you see that, Paul? You see, they don't care about once they've got what they want from you, mate, they just leave you to wander the streets of London in a drunken state.
That's it.
You used to do that on the bill all the time. Just oh no, that was Jim Carver.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it's Carver's. Yeah, nothing to do.
Tony, you did see Tony drunk a few times.
Yes. Well, I think as you're saying, I thought it was like 1,400 episodes, but I'll be guided by you. He had everything. I think I could do the flu better than anybody else, or illnesses better than anybody else, because he got so ill all the time. That and eating. They did have Tony stamped eating so much in those episodes.
The characters commenting on you eating.
Yeah. Well, and again, the thing is, please come, and you and those that listen, come to a live Bill reunion. They are so much fun. Because we say that, the Bill was shot in one handheld camera. So you would say to the director, what we're going to give you a pork pie, right? They don't necessarily ask you what you'd like. It's just that's what they want. And you go, okay, Gus, so how many shots? 3. Now you've got to eat this pie 3 times with the same amount in your mouth each time, so it can be all cut and all that sort of. And of course, you try to make it as real as you can. And I'm sure you've seen so many actors in so many outtakes wish that they hadn't taken such a large mouthful. And donuts. Tony, there was an episode about Tony Stamp eating donuts, and I think I ate 8 or parts thereof in this particular scene. And the idea was, of course, that he then had his entire stab vest covered in sugar. And we carefully kept the shot that we'd done. We kept the thing in a bag. And I got to the location to do the next scene when I'm actually arriving at a job but covered in sugar. And I just put my car, and the dresser that came along didn't know, and started rushing it all. Stop! No. But that's the other side of it. If you haven't read the whole script, you don't know. And the continuity bit, and again for Stuart, for short films, the continuity is a nightmare. And it's got nowadays, I think your public is so aware, and that it's got to be right. And so very often you sit there watching these shows, and wow, that's not even close to what you. And a part of it is on the actors. You should remember what you're doing. I remember we were up on some high-rise block with binoculars and a radio at one point, and we had to come back and do a reshoot or something. And we were there again, and the radio came. Yeah, can you do it? Yeah, okay, we're ready then. And this radio came. No, you haven't got that. You had the binoculars, and whoever I was with at the time. I had the radio. Said, no, it's the other way around. No, you definitely got to. Okay, let me just say this. I will shoot it exactly as you say, but the phone call that you give me tomorrow to ask me to come back and reshoot again, I'm not going to do that. So strange enough, they did go with me. So it's kind of up to the actors to remember that continuity, because everybody else is so busy, aren't they, Stuart? when you do these shorts, everyone has to muck in, don't they? You know, and the sound guys start pulling camera cables. I mean, it's just fantastic. You know, it's.
I mean, last week when we finish on our days, of course, the Phoenix had their events on in the evening, so we had to take all photographs and that, so we knew exactly how all the tables were set up and everything each morning.
Yeah, not easy. Did you go home every night, or did you?
We
stay
did.
up?
So no. So we got
man.
up at 10 to 5 every morning
Oh,
to
that's
get
tiring, man.
the 5:45 train to get into London for 8 o'clock, and then we were getting back 7, 8 o'clock at night.
Wow, that is tiring. That is tiring.
Because I'd be getting picking me up at 6:30 from the ops. I'd go on Facebook and there's Stuart on the train.
Oh, real? Yeah.
There's a picture on the train. That's us off to film the next part.
Yeah, so that was, I think, on the Wednesday. There's me, Jen, and Kate, our makeup girl.
Yeah.
Because she's just moved to Battle. She's just moved to Battle.
Okay, cool. Yeah, lovely, brilliant. So, right, next question, Paul. Come on, we'll stop taking over your program.
No, it's all right. What was it like getting the big red book from Michael Aspel? And
frightening, absolutely frightening. And apparently, they tell me now. First of all, let me just say, you do not trust a single solitary word your wife tells you after that. She's kept it quiet for months and sworn your kids to secrecy and all that sort of stuff. And obviously given them all the info that they need and contact numbers and stuff like that. But actually on the day, it was a day off for me. And I know what's going on in that building. I mean, you know, you just do. And anyone that works anywhere knows what's going on. And they called me in to do this reshoot, and I wasn't a happy bunny because the script didn't make any sense to what we'd already done. And it was a scene with Polly Page. So they took us out. And I was a bit of a grump, to be honest, because it didn't make any sense. And it was like a pickup unit and all that sort of thing. And we got to this car park at Collier's Wood. And halfway through this scene, Lisa had got out of the car and put her hat on the wrong way round. But I kind of think it's not my job to say cut. So I just carried on, did the dialogue and carried on. And then this other police car came up around the corner, driven by Loxton. And I was about to go, what twat face has sent another unit up? So it ruins what was supposed to be shooting. But I didn't, fortunately, because out of the back of the car came Michael Aspel. But it's first of all, honestly, Paul, you just sit there thinking, I haven't got a life. I mean, you know, you've done a job and you've paid the rent and you know, you run that way. But I mean, what was fantastic for me was, you know, they did go back, you know, Bernie and many of the other comics that I worked with over the years, the West End shows that I'd done. I mean, it was just a beautiful thing to do. And of course, I've got a copy of it. One of my sisters has died since from cancer, so that's lovely to have her with us on that night. Neither my mum or dad were alive to see it, but it was very, very, very special night and went on till the very, very, very early hours of the morning. And apparently, whenever the build team turn up, we do drink everything dry in the building. So
did they give you a videotape of it?
Yeah.
Because when Tyler Butterworth's dad and mum, they had them, Janet Brown and Peter Butterworth, they had separate ones because they didn't have videos then. They gave them the book, and in the back there was a record, so they got the audio of it. There was no like visual. It was just the audio, because he's shown that to us, because when he's done his gigs with us, he's brought it up. And so there's a record slotted in the back. All
I really, really remember on that night is because they take your phone off you and everything. You're not allowed to talk to anybody. They just whiz you off to a hotel in Richmond, or did. And you can't talk to anyone or see anybody or do anything. And because they don't want to, the show is only interested on the hit. Once they've done the hit, it's kind of like, that's just for us then. You know, that's what the program was really geared for. And you just sit in this hotel room wondering, what the hell are they going to find and dig out? They did go back to my hospital days and got one or two of the X-ray staff and I think she was senior nursing officer, playing some of the pranks that I got up to over Christmas. You know, it was a beautiful thing to do. It really was lovely, and you don't expect this, you know.
So when they do the stunt with the big reveal where they come out, he jumps out the car, and then is that it? And then you get taken to the studio,
taken away,
or is that? Oh, so it is all done on the same day. It's not like they do that and then film the studio a week later.
No, and they've got your family and friends and everybody else,
and they're all
locked away. They're already at Thames. My wife and my son and daughter, who were like 8 and 6 or something like that at the time, were all whisked off. And they all shoot their own little segments. I mean, my kids were put into a cell at Sun Hill to do their little bit. Dad, come and get us out. But all Laura remembers is being taken to the prop store with and shown a whole cupboard full of sweets. So she was happy. But it was a beautiful thing to do. I mean, Amy MacDonald, you know, and people like that came out for me, and Faith Brown. It was just absolutely beautiful. A beautiful thing to do, and Bernie, of course, and one or two others, and Dave Weiss, who was a serving police officer I'd done lots of charity stuff for, and appeared at the Old Bailey many, many times. He'd never been more nervous than he had to do the bill and just come and talk to me, and handed me a letter from the commissioner of the Met saying that there was a job waiting for me. It was quite sweet. But he wrote bits down on his hand, but he said he sweated so much when we went to look down on the show, and
it's gone.
but it's things like that that's just so beautiful, isn't it? You know, you can't.
The whole episode's on YouTube, and I watched it last week.
Oh, really? Oh, is it? I didn't know that. Oh, okay.
So I'll
send me the link. Yeah, I would be interested to see that.
I complained at the missus because we were going off to Australia that weekend. And so I didn't know. And I just bring me a suit, please, Ches. And she did, but she bought me, because everything was packed for Australia. So all the light stuff was in the suit. She bought me the only suit, which was a wool suit, and it was like 140 in the studio. So if you look at it closely, you see I lose about 1.5 stones filming of that. It was just so hot, but so emotional as well. You know, very, very special.
Absolutely, that's brilliant. I'll just check what else I've got, because we've talked about so much. I think we've just about and you've got a live show coming up in Leeds.
Leeds, yes, bless you.
On September
25th, is it, Stuart?
26th. It's
the Thursday. It's either the 25th or 26th of September.
Yeah,
covering down the 26th at the Hi-Fi Club in Leeds.
The 26th, is it? I'll be there the night before then.
You won't miss much.
And then you've got another sold-out bill reunion on the 2nd of November.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
And you've got another 5 projects coming up, which includes Elvis versus Zombies. And you do a hell of a lot of charity. Because obviously you've got an OBE, which you were given in 2010. And how did you get involved with the Granddaughter of the Water Rats?
Believe it or not, because of my links with Variety Theatre, and I did a lot of work for the Variety Club, kids. And a guy you either know or don't know called Bert Whedon, who taught everyone to play the guitar, came up to me at one of these events and used to see the little gold rats. And all of us in the industry knew about the water rats. And he said, would you like to become a member? Because you have to be asked. You can't, well, you could ask to be, but you then go before us all. And there's 240 serving rats. There's not quite that at the moment because we're beginning to drop like flies. We're all reaching a funny age. But got some lovely people. Alfie Bowe is in there. Rick Wakeman's there. Nico McBain from Iron Maiden. And then we've got lots of comics that you perhaps wouldn't know because they don't do TV, but are the staple diet of our entertainment industry. And so we're very, very lucky. Meet in our own pub, Grays Inn Road. Come and see us. We've got our own pub there, the Water Rats pub. Good food, and still new groups go there. We've got a little stage at the back, and Oasis started there. Many, many others did. And we have what's laughingly called our lodge room upstairs. But then above that, we have our museum. And we've got everything in there, from scripts, from just about every TV show, loads and loads of costumes, Charlie Chaplin's cane, I mean, all sorts of things. And what a lot of people don't know, Laurel and Hardy were water rats. And we go for two things. There's if you do a good gag, you get a jester's, a little round jester's thing, just to wear for the night. And then if there's a gag better than yours, it's taken off and given to the next person, or an ad lib or a quip or something. But what most of us go for is there's a Fabergé egg that's about so big,
right,
and that was presented to us by wonderful Laurel and Hardy. And that's what we all go for, and it's a beautiful thing to go for. And an egg is, of course, a terrible. Instead of getting the laugh, you get a groan. So, Derek Martin actually is usually the king of that. I have to say, his one-liners are just so bad. But you know, if Joe Pasquale's there or one or two others there, you know, it's a brilliant night, and we're very, very fortunate, and we've got a lot of companion rats. So they really are businessmen who bring in the money for us and bring in the contacts for us. But it still goes on. We still support lots of acts that fall on hard times. That was it. It's originally in 1889 was when it started. I was King Rat in 2009. A huge honour to run the organisation for that chunk of time. And it's just very beautiful. And I just love my industry, and I love hearing about the old tales of it. And you know, like most industries, that's all being lost. You know, those levers, those stories have gone forever, haven't they? And not everyone is fortunate enough to write the autobiographies and stuff. And it's really sad to lose it when you go up and you see the great scripts. We still get the BBC ring us up quite often if there's a project going on, and we'll help them as much as we can to in the history and background of those characters that they're working on. It's a lovely thing to be a part of. And of course, as we say, since 1889, it's going. It's hard, like all charities. It's not easy to keep it going.
Do you think, though, variety is now dying in our industry because of all of this reality stuff and that? Because really, if you think the 70s and 80s and even the 90s, you had all those good things going on, especially on a Saturday night.
Sure.
We had you on Noel's house party. A lot of people didn't like it. I watched it. There was loads of good stuff going on.
Yeah.
And now I know they've resurrected Blankety Blank, and bless Bradley Walsh, he tries his best, but it's still not the Blankety Blank of Les Dawson and Terry Wogan.
I'd love to host shows like that. That old family the Family Feud they have, or Family Fortunes, I think they're calling it, Family Feud in America.
Yeah,
I'd love to host something like that. That's my sense of humour. But the
thing that made me just think all of a sudden, you said Joe Pasquale, and I just thought of the 90s. Autumn or winter night in the 90s, when that would have been on ITV before Mind or something like that. You just got nothing like that anymore.
Well, there is nothing funny, is there? I mean, that's what we always complain about. There isn't. It's all murder and mayhem because it's easy to write. It's very hard to write comedy, and quite difficult to find the right performers that can actually do it.
It's harder to write comedy because people are offended so easily.
But now they are.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Nowadays, it's so hard to write, you know, good old-fashioned comedy because somebody's going to be offended by it.
That's why the comedy clubs are still the best. Stuart will tell you I'm probably the most unpolitical PC MC you will ever get to meet. And very often, even after charity events, I have to go around tables and apologise for what I said to someone in a heated moment. But those quips work, don't they, Stuart? Because they're just of that moment, you know. And the thing that people, you know, that woke society that goes on now, we only laugh at something that is, you know, at someone trips, you laugh, someone, you know, whatever it is. Every comedy, every line, every comment you make, there has to be a grain of truth in it, or it's not funny. And that's and you can't, seriously, for goodness sake, particularly nowadays, you need to laugh, and we've got to stop all that. It's an absolute nonsense. Well, I mean, in pantomime, you know, we're not supposed to say girls and boys, and you know, for goodness sake, girls and boys, mummies and daddies. You know, I've been with Childline for over 40 years. You know, and wow, I meet kids in the street all the time, and I give them a hug, and you're not supposed to do that. Well, yeah, kids in wheelchairs. I always hug kids in wheelchairs because nobody ever does. And you know, I mean, the thing from it, I don't know if you know now, that Blame pantomime, you know, we have babes, you know, the little dance schools from the various towns, cities that we're working in, and it's great for them. They come in rehearsals and like that. Now they'll sit over there, come into rehearsals. We're not supposed to go over and talk to them. In the theatres, they will go upstairs and we will only see them 2 minutes before they come on stage. They come down, stand in the wings and go on stage. And you actually, well, if you do that, the paedophiles have won, haven't they?
Of course they have.
I mean, you know, for goodness. And that experience for those kids, some of them will never want or don't want to be performers, or that's their one magical moment. And to go out there, you know, and your mum and dads and aunts and uncles and everyone, and 1,200 people are enjoying themselves in Panto Land, it's beautiful. And the fact that that is now stopped just because, you know, you don't, for goodness sake, give us a break. You know, that's a nonsense. And we often talk about those things, don't we? You start to change everybody. I'm really bad at this, Paul. Forgive me. You can cut this bit out.
No.
Yeah, we change so much for a tiny proportion. Right. It's ridiculous. It's utterly ridiculous. And to be honest, we've all got something. We've all got foibles. We've all got something about us that will offend or upset or whatever it is. I did the most wonderful thing for the British Legion. So I live in Norfolk at the high school, and it was all based on the war. And I thought, ooh, okay, but I'll be quizmaster. Their knowledge was absolutely phenomenal. But what was great was that they weren't ready for my humour. And we had such a good night that night, because there was a table where there was like a few teachers over there and a few teachers scattered around, and I battered these teachers from beginning to end of this night. And it was just beautiful, you know. The teachers came up afterwards and said, you know, we're gonna probably have to live with that for the next month and a half. They're gonna come out with whatever. I can't tell you what I said at the time. But that's what it's about, isn't it? You know, if we don't interact with each other, what is the point? Stuart and I often say, you know, the bill work because you elicit some kind of emotion in your audience. Well, very often, don't we just sit on the TV now and it has no effect on us at all?
Like, just you know, washes over.
Exactly, yeah.
Or there's very long-running programs, and I will mention one, Midsummer Murders, that I used to love. I loved it with John Nettles, and I liked it when Neil Duggan took over. It was all right, but it is lazy writing now on production values that when you watch it, you've got no feeling for any of the characters. Yeah. And they are all, whether they're good actors or not, it comes over as pantomime. There's just something about that. Yeah. But I have started to watch Sherwood, because I like the first series with Dave Morris in there, very gritty and stuff. And when you look at things like that, and The Responder with Martin Freeman, Line of Duty, Happy Valley, they're very good dramas. But then you think, hang on, you can bring the bill back, not with something like this nowadays, because every other word's going to be fuck this, fuck that, or even the other words.
I think that the biggest thing for me as well is we tend not to watch that stuff because I don't want to go to bed after that.
Yeah,
some of that time of night. But as you know, Stuart, I do this mindful thing every night, and I get rid of all the nonsense that goes on, and so you go to sleep without having all that stuff whizzing around your subconscious. And I recommend everybody to do that. Just lie on your bed and just think about, okay, well, that person was horrible. Do I care about what they think? You know, is it important what they think? Can I use a little bit of it perhaps, or whatever? But sling the stuff that's of no use, or the people that are just horrible, and there are a lot of them out there, you know, just chuck it. They're of no use to you or anybody else. Most of the time, the problem is theirs. They are the problem. And so sling.
I know someone so just like that I want to sling out the window. And you know who I'm talking about.
You know, so when you then go to sleep, your subconscious isn't locking onto that. And my fear is, I mean, we certainly know the kids, and we'll try and say to the parents, you know, sort of childline wise, and schools certainly will say, please don't give your kid, you know, the iPad or Xbox or whatever the hell they're on these days. Make sure that's put away an hour before you put them to bed. Don't expect them to sit there, look at something on that, and then be able to go to sleep. It ain't going to happen because the subconscious is going to be wazzing off. Apart from anything else, it'll be too tired the next day. So, you know, there's a lot of sense. I mean, we go round and round in circles, don't we? I love watching podcasts and stuff, and that's what I do in the evenings. I'm just laying in bed. They're just getting rid of the nonsense. And I love military bands, so I just look at military bands and a little bit about the royal family because I'm a bit of a royalist, and their reaction to the bands and all that sort of stuff is beautiful. But that's what I tend to watch. And then I'll watch some concerts, Adele or whoever it is, and just watch concerts there. Tom Jones, wonderful. I've seen him live a few times, but he's fantastic. You can get to watch that stuff and just be around musicians. I love being around musicians.
I watch Nightmare on Elm Street. That normally sets me off to sleep. Well, no, I've been watching Minder, before going to bed, and because that takes you back to the 80s and 90s when sure. I'm sure we were all probably complaining back in the 80s and 90s that the 60s and 70s were better. But no, really, the 80s was my teenage years.
I think so. Yeah.
And it was, I think, directly the internet started and got a grip on everyone. That's when it all went downhill. And now, look, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I don't believe in any of that stuff. But someone once told me, a wise person, WWW in Hebrew is numbers, which is 666.
Sure.
Not going to say any more than that.
Yeah, they do. Well,
and look at all the evil that happens now.
Weren't you? And people say, "Why is 13 a lucky number?" Well, you've already told them about the disciples and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. Yeah. And it was on the Friday. You see, it's all. So I've always thought that once the World Wide Web opened up, that's where all these paedophiles. I mean, they were around, but that's when they could start spreading and all the other nonsense. I think the
sadness is as well, isn't it? As you well know, if you walk around with me, there's a good chance you're going to have your photograph taken, whether you want it or not. And that's the other thing about mobile phones. When people had cameras, they would ask you if they could take your picture. Now they seem to think they've got a divine right because they've got a camera in their phone.
And they do it without you even knowing. As you're walking down, and they just do it. I've seen people in our audience. Well, I haven't seen them doing it, but in our audience, because I've seen it on social media afterwards, and there's pictures of, say, you, Graham, talking to me behind the bar somewhere.
Sure.
And they've taken it from the other end of the room.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, of course, one of the things we often say to people, is that, well, I saw you with your wife. How do you know? How do you know it was my wife?
Yeah, this is true.
And there's the other things as well about it. It's just, when you go out for a meal, you just want to enjoy the meal. You have to worry about there's someone surreptitiously under the table. I have this line that Stuart heard me say many times, Paul, when I go past him. Mate, you'd never make a spy.
So that was like,
yeah. Just on my way to the loo or something like that. I mean, seriously, come on.
Well, I think we've covered.
Bless you.
Absolutely everything. It's been a genuine honour to speak to you.
Thank you. You're talking about him?
No, both of us. No, we come as a pair. We're like twins now.
Well, that's
we are. We are Arnold Schwarzenegger and whatever the little fellow was called.
Danny DeVito.
Yes. Gonna make up your own mind. Make up your own mind. Who's who?
One of my favourite TV coppers. He's up there with John Thor.
Oh, bless your heart.
Definitely.
Love the Sweeney. Definitely. You know what I mean? I'm a big Sweeney fan.
I know the press used to say about me being like George Dixon, and I was hugely honoured about that. I thought that was a great accolade.
Nothing wrong with
that. I think Tony's stamp, he was meant to be like the old-fashioned copper that would clip someone around the ear, and that's why he never wanted to move on or promoting or anything, because that's what he was happy to do.
It was his God, wasn't he? God in his own little car.
Yeah, he was in his own mind. How many people did you run over? Not in real life, but in the storylines.
Trudy once. No, I think it was only the two. I think only the two.
There was the bloke you reversed
stuff, but only the two. The reversing one was a big storyline, and then the Trudy one. But that was her fault. Stupid woman ran out in front of me. What do you expect me to do?
That's true.
I had all the blues and twos on. I mean, I think now probably, Paul, when this goes out, someone will phone you and correct us. But I think it was only two.
Watching it over the last year, I can only remember it twice.
Yeah.
Okay. And and now we are interviewing you, Paul. What's your favourite era of the Bill? What you've seen so far?
I've got to say my favourite era of the Bill is kind of what I've watched since watching it again is that 80s, 90s era when the original crew was just about still there and you'd get the odd one. And then it did go a bit kind of soap opera a little bit.
When Todd Party came in, it kind of went a bit.
Yeah, and then it started concentrating on the kind of younger character.
And you had the Australian guy that was in it that was like talking to his girlfriend who was a copper just as the bloke was about to get blown up. You know, I mean, that was a bit odd.
But I was a bit shocked how Reggie's character was just, Reggie's resigned. I was like, oh, come on, he must have got more than that.
Yeah. Well, I don't even remember that. That's awful.
It was just a passing. Oh, by the way, Reggie's resigned. It was mentioned 2 or 3 times in the episode. Reggie's resigned, and that was it. And I thought, oh, that's a bit disappointing. So when I knew,
but had the character been out of it for a while?
Not really.
No, not really. No, and I think it's you know, people always think that it's the actor that's in it, but it's actually a disservice to your followers, to your fans, to your viewers. You know, and that's why we're there. I often say, you know, it's a mighty privilege that people turn you on and let you go into their front rooms and spend a bit of time in their lives. You know, it's huge. It's absolutely huge.
I mean, all my mates have been watching the Bill, and when I was in hospital, the nurses came and sat, and a couple of them had a conversation with the Bill because it was all around that this guy's constantly watching the Bill on his iPad. In hospital. Did
you not sort of get fed up after a while and going, oh, I really fancy that Tony Stamp? Did you just like get a little bit fed up with the nurses? I mean,
we're often saying Tony Stamp was the man. But God, it's been an absolute pleasure having you.
Thank you, Paul. It's been good, man. Thank you.
Go and see Graham in Leeds on the 26th of September, a Hi-Fi Club in Leeds. And then there's the Bill reunion. Stuart, you're just a legend, mate.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Everything you've done for me, and I can't thank you enough. And this will be out on Friday.
Wow, cool.
Because with me being holed up, I've got no other podcasts to put out.
Yeah, bless you.
We're completely behind because I had a load of interviews lined up. And then I went down. So you're the first.
Bless your heart. Well, really appreciate it, Paul. Thank you, mate.
Yeah, we do.
It's been great. It's been really lovely. Thank you.
But I'll say goodbye to everybody. Just hang on a bit and we'll have a quick chat.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So, thank you for being here, both of you. I've been PD. That's been Graham. That's been Stuart. This has been the Carlisle Cult Cinema Club Presents. And we'll see you next time. Good night. God bless. Thank you.